In October, the migrant crisis exploded to a full scale. At the same time, the 64-year-old politician Ryhor Kastūsiau remains in prison with suspected cancer. He receives no medical aid. And in Europe, the regime continued using Interpol to pressure the dissidents abroad. Finally, in November, the tensions at the Belarusian-Polish border reached a boiling point. Thousands of foreign citizens taken hostage by the regime have come to the focus of the EU. Phone calls have been exchanged to elevate their conditions. But at the same time, 9 million Belarusians remain hostages of the regime. Have we forgotten the tragic lessons of our European past? The tyrants are emboldened by appeasement, not placated. That when you avoid confrontation with a bully, you only make the inevitable showdown that might more costly and dangerous. But do you really suppose it will stop there? We are already seeing how dangerous a regime like this can be to its neighbors. Lithuania and Poland are facing the biggest test of their border security. By the way, Polska, Lietuva, stay strong. We know that you pay a big price for being true and principled friends to the people of Belarus. Supposing this abuse of migrants is somehow stopped, do you really believe the regime's threats beyond its borders will end there? Increases in the flow of smuggled drugs and other contraband, a military provocation, a disaster at a nuclear power plant right on the EU's external borders. None of this is just my imagination. These are threats that the regime itself has made. Whatever it takes to get what it wants. Meanwhile, European hesitates, time goes by for those unjustly imprisoned, killed, or exiled. Time is measured differently for Belarusians. It's measured in lost moments of happiness, moments that are the right of every one of us to experience, moments that are the reason why all of us want to live in freedom and dignity, moments that Belarusians are deprived of. For me, those would be moments when my daughter Agnia might see the loving face of her father Sergei seeing her off on her first day of school. Moments when my son Kornei could feel the support of a father who helps him to fix his bicycle. For other mothers, like Dasha Losik, Volga Zolotarь, Alena Bondarenko, time is measured in tears. When you don't know if your husband is still alive, when you are behind bars and you have no news about your 5 children, when all is left of your child is a framed photograph with a black ribbon, because they beat him to death when he asked them not to remove the white ribbons hung in his backyard. For the workers in MTZ, Belkali, Grodno Azot, time is measured in sweat spilled while forced by the regime to work in unbearable and dangerous conditions. Conditions that are close to being slavery. Work with no rights. For thousands of activists across the country, time is measured in units of stress and anxiety. Because even though they chose safer methods of resistance, like disturbing self-published newspapers, posting stickers, joining independent labor movements, every day they risk arrest. And for our medics from Voronezh to Khatimsk, from Verkhnedvinsk to Bragin, time is measured in hours of overtime and in the minutes of sleep they are allowed. Because due to the regime's disregard of the pandemic, the workload has tripled. Ladies and gentlemen, do you think these people understand what we mean when we talk about the EU's long bureaucratic processes and complex diplomacy? Do you think our statements of deep concern give them hope and confidence? What can the European Union really say to the people of Belarus, to the forgotten Europeans who want the same things the rest of Europe enjoys? Perhaps we don't have a right to demand your help or support. Perhaps you may refuse us because it may contradict your national interests, or perhaps it's bad for your businesses. But I'm here to ask for your support nevertheless. Our fight for freedom is your fight for freedom too. Only by standing together and acting decisively does democracy have the chance to survive in this world. Distinguished representatives of Europe, pardon my straightforwardness, but I must say it. It's getting late. Since August 2020, there have been ample gestures and expressions of solidarity. Belarusians were praised for reigniting their faith in democracy and human dignity. Is it not the turn of Europeans to demonstrate their commitment to those values with actions? Will Europe as a whole have the courage to take decisive action now? Or will we wait another year? Dear ladies and gentlemen, we don't have another year. Neither does Belarus, neither does Europe. There is more we can do than just wait and react. The regime in Minsk is motivated by fear of the Belarusian people, hence the escalation of violence. Meanwhile, the Belarusians are not giving up.